Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayesvabhadrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyutama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Yam Pravrajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahakatara Juhava Putreti Tanmayatayo Taravo Vinedus Tam Sarva Bhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi. Hare Krishna. So today we're reading Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam, Kent of Chapter number 1, the history of the life of Ajamila, text 47. Vartamanaha Anyayoho Kalaha Gunabhigyapakaha Yatha Evam Janma Anyayoho Etat Dharma Adharma Nidarshanam Vartamano Nyayoh Kalo Vartamano Nyayoh Kalo Guna Bhigya Pakoyatha Guna Bhigya Pakoyatha Evam Janma Nyayoretat Evam Janma Nyayoretad Dharma Dharma Nidarshanam Dharma Dharma Nidarshanam Vartamano Nyayoh Kalo Guna Bhigya Pakoyatha Evam Janma Nyayoretat Dharma Dharma Nidarshanam. Next please. Vartamano Nyayoh Guna Bhigya Pakoyatha Janmanyayoretat Nyayoh Kalo Vidyapako Yatha janmanyayoretat dharmani darshanam. Mataji. Vartamanaha, the present. Anyayoho, of the past and future. Kalaha, time. Guna abhigyapakaha, making known the qualities. Yatha, just as. Evam, thus. Janma, birth. Anyayoho, of the past and future birth. Etat, this. Dharma, religious principles. Adharma, irreligious principles. Nidarshanam, indicating. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Just as springtime in the present indicates the nature of springtimes in the past and future, so this life of happiness, distress, and mixture of both gives evidence concerning the religious or irreligious activities of one's past and future lives. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Our past and future are not very difficult to understand. For time is under the contamination of the three modes of material nature. As soon as spring arrives, the usual exhibition of various types of fruits and flowers automatically becomes manifest. And therefore, we may conclude that spring in the past was adorned with similar fruits and flowers and will be so adorned in the future also. Our repetition of birth and death is taking place within time, and according to the influence of the modes of nature, we are receiving various types of bodies of being subjected to various conditions. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vartamananyayoh kalo guna bhigyapako yatha evam janmanyayoretat dharma nidarshanam. Just as springtime in the present indicates the nature of springtimes in the past and future, so this life of happiness, distress, and mixture of both gives evidence concerning the religious and irreligious activities of one's past and future lives. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Vidinami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Desha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Ajanulambit Bhujo Kanakavadatu Sankirtanai Kapitaro Kamalaya Taksha Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Yantah Pravishya Mama Vachimimam Prasuptam Sanjivayate Kila Shakti Daraksvadhamna Anyamschahasta Charana Shravanat Vagadim Pranannamo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Svasyastu Vishwasya Kalach Prasidatam Dhyantu Bhutani Shivam Mithodya Manascha Badram Bhajata Tagdokshaje Aveshyatam No Matir Hapyahai Tuki. Hare Krishna. I am very happy to be with all of you this morning and to have the opportunity to speak on this subject matter of Srimad-Bhagavatam. So we're reading the 6th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is according to the verse of Padma Purana, comparing Srimad-Bhagavatam with the Swarup of the Lord, is the heart of the Lord. The first 2 cantos of Srimad-Bhagavatam, his lotus feet, then his thighs are 3rd and 2nd canto, 3rd and 4th canto, his belly, within which all the planetary system are located, is the 5th canto, which describes sthanam, the structure of the universe, but his heart is the 6th canto. So it's a very special canto which actually describes the glories of pure devotional service within the heart of the Lord, the heart of the Lord. And only if we understand the heart of the Lord, we will be able to understand his smiling face, which is the 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. The 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam is by far the culmination of the whole book, but the entrance to this 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam lies especially through, of course we should start with the lotus feet of the Lord and gradually make our way up, but the special significance is this 6th canto, because if we want to understand the person, if we want to understand his moods, if we want to understand his activities, we first of all have to understand his heart. And the heart of the Lord is pure devotional service, by far. And the 2 main stories of the 6th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, very important stories of the whole Srimad-Bhagavatam, is the story of Ajamila and the story of Vritrasura. And in fact, the specific lakshana, the sign of Srimad-Bhagavatam, is the story of Vritrasura. When other Puranas defining Srimad-Bhagavatam, this grantha, they always mention Vritrasura Katha, Vritrasura Vada Katha, which actually, is in one sense, is the essence of Srimad-Bhagavatam, because Srimad-Bhagavatam glorifies Bhakti, and Bhakti, the special feature of Bhakti is that it's beyond the modes of material nature. Vritrasura was a demon. Vritrasura was a demon. He was not only a demon, he was a great demon. He was not meat eater. He was human eater. He was eating humans. He was eating demigods. He was quite a character. And in Srimad-Bhagavatam, he is glorified as the greatest of a devotee. Nevertheless, despite of all these external disqualifications which were there, despite of all the problems which he had, he still developed pure devotional service. And that's the very essential message of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Srimad-Bhagavatam is beyond, Srimad-Bhagavatam and Bhakti itself is transcendental. It's beyond the modes of material nature. And the story of Ajamil, which we are reading, starting with the first chapter of the sixth Kent of Srimad-Bhagavatam, is also the proof of the same, that bhakti takes you beyond the modes of material nature, which is very difficult to believe. This point is not easy to understand because we usually we are programmed to think in terms of cause and effect. We are within this material world, and everything is in terms of cause and effect. And cause and effect, basically, this cause and effect relationship is basically closely connected with the modes of material nature. If the cause is sattvic, then the effect will be sattvic. If the cause is rajasic, then the effect will be rajasic. If the cause is tamasic, then the effect will be tamasic. And here, you know, Srimad-Bhagavatam wants to say us, you know, bhakti is transcendental, it's beyond the gunas. It basically means that it defies this law of cause and effect. As you start the activities of bhakti, you are beyond this law of karma. They are beyond of the gunas. How you can believe it? It's very difficult to believe. It's very difficult point to digest, because we're always programmed, you know, looking the cause and effects, and, you know, trying to judge according to modes of material nature. And of course, while we're here, it's a valid consideration, but at the same time, it's even more important to also develop this vision, this darshana, which is Srimad-Bhagavatam darshana, this doing bhakti. In the beginning stages, is beyond the cause and effect. He is beyond karma. He is transcendental. You should not judge him according to his activities, even though his activities may be tamasic or rajasic or sattvic. You should consider him sadhureva samantavya. He is sadhu. Apichet sudaracharo bhajate mamananya bhag. This is a very difficult verse of Bhagavad Gita to understand. He is performing the most abominable actions. The most abominable actions. Krishna's most abominable actions. Krishna says, Sadur eva sa mantavya. He said, he has to be considered as sadhu. This is the opinion of Krishna. It's very difficult to argue. It's better we shouldn't argue with him. But morally, ethically, it's difficult. You know, somebody is doing something abominable. And we say, oh yeah, dear sadhu, please bless me. You know, it doesn't make any sense. Because we are very much accustomed to these things. This is good, this is bad. What is good? Good is something sattvic. When somebody is kind, you know, when somebody is doing something good, he's good. This is good, this is clear. When somebody is doing something bad, he's bad. And here we have, you know, Srimad-Bhagavatam, and of course Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita says, no. Please try to adjust your vision differently. If somebody is doing bhakti, he is worshipable from the beginning. In the beginning of this chapter, Srila Prabhupada quotes Srila Jiva Goswami, where he says that bhakti is considered, you know, there are two types. You can classify bhakti into two categories. One category is satata bhakti, when you constantly perform bhakti. And the other category, when you sometimes perform bhakti, sometimes don't perform bhakti. You know, sporadically, sometimes you feel like performing bhakti, and sometimes you don't feel like performing bhakti. And then Prabhupada says, according to Jiva Goswami, you know, this sporadic bhakti is also divided into three types. You know, one is when you have some attachment to bhakti. One is that you don't have some attachment to bhakti, but you just want to serve. And one is that you don't even want to serve. You're just sporadically doing something which is very superficially called as a bhakti. You're coming to the temple. And Srila Jiva Goswami says, that's enough to be beyond the modes of material nature. How we can understand this? It's very difficult to understand. And therefore, this whole first chapter of the sixth canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam is there first to prove the Purva Paksha. What we are listening here is not the message of Srimad-Bhagavatam. It's the Purva Paksha. It's the opinion of the opponent. Who is the opponent in this particular case is Yamadutas. Yamadutas, they are trying to argue with the Vishnu Dutas, and they're presenting their case. And they're presenting their case in a very solid way. It's very difficult to deny what Yamadutas are saying. You know, they are basically explaining this law of karma, the law of cause and effect, in a very rational way. How the law of karma is connected with the gunas, how the gunas, but basically what is the problem of this law of karma? The problem of the law of karma is that it's a vicious circle. If the law of karma was the only law in this material world, everyone would be doomed to rot in this material world to the rest of eternity. If the law of karma was the only law which would govern this material world, we would have no hope. No hope. Because the law of karma, rational as it is, gives a very gloomy future to you. You know, what is the law of karma? Law of karma is you do something and then there will be reaction. Right? It's a cause and effect. You do something, there will be reaction. But because there will be reaction, you will react to this reaction and you will act according to the reaction, and then for this reaction will be re-reaction. And this re-reaction will act upon you, and because the re-reaction will act upon you, you will react, and there will be re-reaction to your initial action, and then after this will be reaction again and again and again. Just one action dooms you. That's it, you're finished. You acted one time, and you're already caught in this endless, vicious circle of karma, because you will be doomed to act in a similar way according to your act before, and you will act and act and act, and you will degrade and you will rot. So just one action, one simple action gives so much reactions that you will not be able to counteract within innumerable bursts, because you will, in the meantime, you will create more actions and more actions and more actions. And there is no hope. You know, once I was speaking with a Christian priest. Actually, we had a live show on, not on TV, on radio, and we were arguing. And he said, your law of karma is very pessimistic, it's very hopeless. And I said, it's your law of karma is very pessimistic. Our law of karma is not pessimistic. But actually, it is pessimistic in one sense, because it's very rational, and you know, if we consider it very thoroughly, it's very difficult to overcome the law of karma. Of course, you know, the scriptures which explain how to overcome not bhakti scriptures, but other scriptures like Yoga Sutra of Patanjali Muni, it very interestingly, in a very interesting way, describes how you can be free from the law of karma. What you should do. It is basically said, it's very important to understand. It basically said that here, actually, Srila Prabhupada, he translates this verse according to the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. You may wonder, by reading Srila Prabhupada's translation, where is the springtime, in the verse? There is absolutely no mention of springtime in the verse. And Srila Prabhupada translates, just as springtime in the present indicates the nature of springtimes in the past. What kind of translation it is. But Srila Prabhupada oftentimes does it when he includes the previous Acharya's commentaries in the translation itself. His translation is actually, oftentimes, is not the translation of the verse. His translation is his rendering of the commentaries of the previous Acharyas, and then he comments further on this commentary. So, actually, this verse compares, very interestingly, the law of karma. It's a very common simile, very common metaphor, that the law of karma is compared with the seeds. And basically, even in the Bible, the same metaphor is used. As you sow, you will reap. You will reap what you sow. The seeds which you will plant into the ground, they will fructify inevitably after some time, and they will bring the same result as with the seeds. You cannot expect that the result of your actions will be different. If you're going to the field in the springtime, and you put the seeds of all kinds of weeds in the field. And then, when the summer comes or when the rainy season comes, you expect that there will be some nice rice there. Isn't it crazy? You will only get what you sow. If you sow the bad seeds, you will get bad crop. Isn't it? It's very logical. So oftentimes this law of karma is compared with these activities of the agricultural activities. You are just a krishika. You are doing this karma in this field, and therefore this body is called field of activities. It's kshetragya. We are kshetragya, and this is the kshetra. What is kshetragya is doing? Kshetragya is cultivating the field. What we are doing, we are cultivating this field, we are sowing the different seeds in the field, and accordingly we will get the crop. Accordingly we will get the result, accordingly we will get the next body. And actually, as Srila Prabhupada says, it's very easy to understand what we were doing in the past life. It's very easy. You just have to come in front of the mirror. Look in the mirror and you will see all your past lives, if you have the eyes to see. But basically, what is present, the present is the reflection of the past. And the future is the next rendering of the present. What we have in the present will be in the future. But if we consider this is a very pessimistic sort of idea. But anyway, what the Yoga Shastras say, they say that, yes, you have all these seeds. And these seeds manifest as our thoughts in the mind. The thoughts which we have in the mind is the result of our activities in the past. If you saw some movie, you will think according to this movie. All these images of this nice, naked male and female embracing each other will surface And then you will have to go the Ajamila's biography. Replay the same thing, People, what are they doing? People in Kali Yuga, they're so crazy. It's not enough, they're doing so much sinful activities themselves, but it's not enough for them. They go to the movie and they watch other people doing sinful activities and acquiring more karma. Because while watching all these images of sinful activities, you actually are also participating in the same sinful activities. As if it's not enough of these sins which you are doing, just go to the, and nowadays, of course, you don't have to go to the movie, to the cinema theater. You can just open YouTube and you can watch all these sinful activities there and get all these sinful impressions. And every single one of these sinful impressions will fructify, because it will give you the desire to do the same thing again. Ajamila was, he just once saw this, Shudra embracing the prostitute. And his whole life he spent doing the same thing, And people in Kali Yuga, they're watching it again and again and again. It's freely available now, so how much sinful activities, sinful impressions, sinful samskaras are stored in our consciousness. It's just unbelievable. So, and basically that's it. But what the Yoga Sutra, let's go back to Yoga Sutra, from movie theater to Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. So, Patanjali Muni says that, yes, it's true, you have so many seeds, but there is a hope, says Patanjali Muni. You can ultimately, you can starve these seeds, he says. He says that all the samskaras which are there in our consciousness, they can be classified according to 4 types. The first samskara, the first type of samskara is fully operating samskara. Udara. This state of samskara is our present karma which we are doing, prarabdha karma. All these thoughts and actions is a result of our previous thoughts and actions, and it basically means that the certain impression which is there in the mind is fully operating. This is Udara. Then he says that this Udara can be put to sleep, prasupta. He says that there are certain samskaras which are not really operating now, but they're there somewhere in some consciousness. And at one point of time, triggered by some external stimuli, this samskara will be awakened. So many sinful reactions are there within our mind. And this is exactly what happened with Ajamil. Ajamil was a very pious man. He was studying in Gurukul, but then, all of a sudden he saw this scene, sensuous scene when Shudra was embracing a prostitute, and the samskaras which were sleeping, like during Bhagavatam class, some brahmacharis are sleeping very nicely. But then when they hear Ki Jai, Srimad-Bhagavatam, Grantaraj, Srimad-Bhagavatam, Ki Jai, they immediately awake. So, you need some trigger to awake. In this similar way, some samskara may be sleeping, but when some trigger is there, it will awake. When there is something external which reminds you this samskara will awake and will say, oh yeah, right. You had this experience, why don't we do it again? Very nice proposal, very good. So this is how karma works, and then therefore Patanjali Muni says, first is the samskara which is working now. Working now means it gives you certain desires. Already you have certain desires. Already you have certain character. Like for example, you're a very angry man. You know, somebody is saying something which you don't like, you immediately become very angry. You know, that's already working samskara. You know, but you may be very peaceful, but then somebody says to you something which is really touching to your heart, and you immediately become angry. It means that samskara was sleeping, prasupta, and then it became awake. And then, you know, he says then there is another kind of samskara or a certain attachment which is sometimes working, sometimes going to sleep. You know, it's like a brahmachari before Mangalarati. You know, he sometimes goes to sleep and sometimes he awakes and then sometimes again goes to sleep. You know, it's Vijyana. It goes back and forth, goes back and forth. So, but then he says that there is one type of samskara which is beneficial. One type of samskara which is beneficial, it's called tanu. Tanu means it's starving samskara. Tanu means you become very thin. You know, like if you eat a lot of food, you become very chubby. Or as they say in India, you become very healthy. You know. You have a lot of flesh. So if you always feed your samskaras, they become very healthy. They become very active and very strong. But then you may starve certain samskaras. And if you starve samskaras become very weak. Tanu means it's samskara which is very weak. It's there. The memory is there. The experience is there, but it's very weak. And sometimes you can hear the voice of this samskara. You know, why don't you do this? But it's very weak voice, feeble voice. You know, it was nice. The ice cream is very nice. Why don't you take ice cream? And then, you know, your Paka Brahmachari, no ice cream, only gulab jamun. No Maya. It basically means that, you know, the samskara is not very strong. It means that the voice of this samskara is not very demanding. It's not very strong voice. You can easily shut it down, you know. The samskara says, why don't you do this? I mean, of course, ice cream is not so sinful. I'm just giving some decent examples, but there may be some more gross examples. But if you starve these particular impressions, subliminal impressions, samskaras which are there, if you starve them, gradually they become weaker and weaker and weaker. And that's basically what people do in other traditions. They very much rely on this particular process. It's very prominent among people who are trying to practice some spirituality. They very much rely on this process of starving their samskaras. You know, it basically means severe fast. You know, because while you're starving yourself, you're starving your senses, and while your senses are starving, your samskaras are also become very weak. You know, like recently I was in Swaminarayan Sampradaya in Saranpur. And it's, I mean, it's beautiful temple and it's an educational institution. And they explained to me their lifestyle and they said, we are very much into this tapasya. Every brahmachari who is staying there, studying there, they have to fast nirjal at least 5 times a month. And some brahmacharis fast, you know, 10 days a month. And some brahmacharis fast every second day. One day they eat, second day they don't eat, you know. Do you want to go to Swami Narayan Sampradaya? And no Sunday feast. Because if you want to be there, if you want to be sadhu, you have to really, you have to get all the nice prasadam, salty and sweet, and mix it together completely, and then it's this. Because this is one of the principles there. And it's a good principle in one sense, because what is the idea behind this? You are starving your senses. Your senses are demanding, please give me some nice sense enjoyment. And you say, no, I'm a sadhu. I will starve you to death. And basically means starve to death means that no more samskaras, no more karma. Now, of course, the karma is still there. The samskaras, they may be starving, but if you give them some food, they will be again very nice and healthy. And they will again push you to do the same things. But what I want to say is that this method, which is recommended by Patanjali Muni, is very prominent. Wherever you go, you will see more or less this principle is there in the spiritual life. If you want to get free from karma, if you want to be liberated, if you want to go beyond this cause and effect, first of all, you have to do these austerities, severe austerities. It's undeniable condition. You have to do it. No doubt about it. But luckily we are in this Srimad-Bhagavatam Sampradaya. And in Srimad-Bhagavatam Sampradaya, Shukadev Goswami himself says, this does not really work. Srila Shukadev Goswami answering this question of Maharaja Parikshit, initially he tried to bewilder Maharaja Parikshit, and he said, you do some atonement. And Maharaja Parikshit says, no. What kind of atonement you do? Because the problem is not the seed. Seed is a problem. But seed is only a problem when you have nice soil. The seed will only fructify if the soil is nice and fertile. If the seed is thrown into the soil which is not very nice, then the seed will not grow. And what is the soil for our karma? What is the fertile soil for the karma to operate? It's ignorance. Patanjali Muni himself is very clear about this. He says that on the soil of ignorance, the seeds of our karma grow. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Abhinivesha and raga and dvesha and even asmita, it's all, they all are growing on the soil, on the fertile soil of ignorance, of avidya. So Srimad-Bhagavatam, ultimately, why bhakti is so powerful. We have to also understand it very scientifically, because if we only just sentimentally believe, then we will not be able to practice bhakti properly. Bhakti is so powerful because the initial starting point of bhakti is that there is God and there is you and your natural relationship. The only natural relationship between you and God is to surrender to God. This is the starting point. The bhakti starts from the sharanagati, from surrender. The bhakti starts from this belief that the only thing which I should do in this world is to worship the Supreme Lord. Everything else is senseless. Everything else does not make any sense. Everything else does not make me happy. If this idea, which is Shastriya Shraddha, is firmly established in you, then you're beyond karma. Even though, karma may have some effect upon you, gunas may still work on you, you may still perform some abominable activities because of this, but because you firmly established in this knowledge, Sambandha Gyan, therefore it starts with Sambandha Gyan. What is my nature? Jivara Svarupaha Nitya Krishna Das. I am always Das. And if I don't want to be the Das of the Supreme Lord, I will be Das of my wife. Nice Patni Das. Mahapatni Das. I will become the Das of my karma. I will become Karma Das. Mahakarma Das. I will become the Das of my senses. I will become Indriya Das. I will always serve. Because this is my Svarupa. This is the Svarupa of a Jiva. We're never independent. We always serve. And therefore, Bhakti is so powerful. And Bhakti starts, the real Dharma, the real Bhakti starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And if you have even slight connection with the chanting of the holy name, you're saved. And this is not just a fanatical statement. I wanted to tell you a story. I know that I have to finish, but I still want to tell you a little story. It's a short story, but it's a real story. I don't know, perhaps you know Patri Das. He's a very, amazing preacher in Nepal. And he told me once a story that they had a brahmachari. He actually converted. He was studying Nepali in the university, and in this university there was a student who was studying the political science. And he was a very brilliant student, and somehow or other he became a devotee, and he gave up all this political science, and he gave up his university studies, and he became a preacher, and he started dancing on the streets and chanting the holy name and, distributing the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And his father became extremely angry. His father, he was cursing his son, and he was cursing all the devotees, and he cursed everyone, and he was always saying this, Hare Krishnas, they are so bad. And he was always saying, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So what happened, and then after some time, as it happens in this world, his father became very sick. And he was not so old, but he became very, very sick, and he went into coma. And he was living in some other city, and this brahmachari asked Patri, can I go, what should I do in this situation? He said, just immediately go to your father and stay with him and try to help him, try to give him whatever help you can give. So his father was in coma, and actually doctor said there is very little chance that he will come out from the coma. And for more than 1 week he was in this completely unconscious state. But then all of a sudden, and his son was always there, and his son was sitting in front, next to him, and was chanting the holy name, and Prabhupada's bhajans were playing. And then all of a sudden his father came back to his senses, and the first thing which he asked, give me the mala. His son was so amazed, and they immediately gave him the mala, and he started chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. And for a long time he was chanting non-stop. I don't know, he chanted 16 rounds or more, I don't know, but he was chanting and chanting and chanting again and again and again. And then after some time, when this whole, when he became a little more calm, because his father was also visibly agitated, And then he said to his son, you know, son, what happened to me? I was there, and they put me in this queue. And he said, I was in a long queue. He said, why it took me so long? 7 days, because I was in a queue. You know, so, because especially in Kali Yuga, the queue must be really long. To Yamaraj. So he said, I was standing in this queue and was waiting, and I saw by my own eyes what's happening there, what's going on. And he said, I saw this big man, and he was sitting on a throne, and you know, there was some man sitting next to him, you know, reading something, and he said, you know, the judgment was very quick. The waiting period is long because the queue is so long, but the judgment is actually really takes few minutes, you know, no problem, no brainer, very easy to solve. And he said that there are 3 big holes there, you know, just in case, maybe you will see them. And these holes, they're like, you know, they're sucking something, you know, and you know, as soon as the sentence was pronounced, you know, then the soul is placed in one of those holes, you know, and it's sucked there. So it's basically what is these 3 holes: Sattvic hole, Rajasic hole, and Tamasic hole. You know. If you were predominantly Sattvic, you know, go to this hole, to this channel, and you know, go through this, and or to this Tamasic hole or Rajasic hole. So this father was there, was trembling, you know, in this queue, and then ultimately he came, and then, you know, they asked him, you know, somebody started saying what he was doing, and it was almost decided, and then this father, all of a sudden, he remembered something, and he said, my son is Hare Krishna. And he said, this man on the throne, he said, really? Get out of here. And this is how he came back, and then the first thing he said, give me the mala. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so shall we finish? It's already 5 minutes. Okay, one question. Krishna. Huh? Okay, if there is a question, if not, yes.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. And it was so nice to see your lecture after a long time. We have been missing you. You mentioned about that debate you had on the radio with the other person. So if you like, you can share on that a little more than what happened.
Yeah, actually, I started saying that if you consider the karma, if you don't understand the law of karma, then it's indeed very difficult to get out of this law of karma. But if you understand that you can easily break this law of karma, it's actually very interesting that it is said that Srila Rupa Goswami says that one sort of pure devotional service, one kind of pure devotional service is to serve the cows. You know, Krishna, he gave so much opportunities for us to break the law of karma. Even if you serve the cow, you can completely break the law of karma. You know, if you do something good to the cow, even if you do it in a very, you know, ignorant way, you don't do, but still you did something good for the cow. You know, so much of your karma is finished completely.
Oh.
Yeah, even though the karma is very difficult, you know, and it's very tremendous obstacle, but at the same time, Krishna gave so much provision to get rid of this karma. You know, just chant the holy name once, just bow down to the Lord. And, you know, even if you just, you know, you somehow or other you're completely drunk and you came to the Lord and you fell down, that's no problem. Apichet Sudaracharo Bhajate Mamananya Bhava. Your devotional story started because you did this. You know, Krishna gave so much provision to finish the karma. You know, it is said that if you live with the cows, you know, together, you can basically counteract any amount of your karma. If you live together with the cows, you know, or serve the cows, and so many other things, you know, you serve the devotees, you get the book, already it's a very tremendous step in the right direction. So, no problem. Yamaraj will say, get out of here. No problem. You don't belong to here. Okay.
Большое спасибо.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for the wonderful lecture. I had the similar question, but you already answered it. So this is not the class-related question. Just we want to know, in short, that how did you join Iskcon, which will inspire us.
Boring story.
we still want to hear. I'm sure everybody wants to hear how you join. It will inspire everyone. Please.
I joined Iskcon long ago. I almost forget how it was. It was 42 years back. So anyway, my friend gave me Bhagavad Gita, and I read Bhagavad Gita, and I thought, okay, good, very good. And my friend told me, you know, you chant Hare Krishna, and I started chanting Hare Krishna. And when he gave me Bhagavad Gita and said to me, you should chant Hare Krishna, I said, okay, I'll try. But I was not really, you know, convinced that I should do this. I thought for myself, as soon as I, you know, get tired of chanting Hare Krishna, I will stop it. And, you know, 42 years later, I'm still chanting Hare Krishna, so I never got tired. So.
Very well. Thank you, Maharaj.
My friend's name, he's living in California, his name is Japadas. He's very active devotee there in California.